95 sleep score this night. That's an all-time high. Track nights, in this case on Garmin. This is a short analysis of the potentially contributing variables. Tracking. I wear a Garmin Fenix 6S and a Galaxy Fit, usually a Galaxy Watch 4. The Garmin only catch sleep after I woke up once, therefore the 95 is not for the whole night. I slept longer. Samsung Health only gave me a 48, but recorded even less of sleep. Better tracking. Recently switched from textile bands, have to be tightened every maybe hour, to rubber bands, to ideally increase the good readings. Possible variables mostly to 1. Fasting before bed or sleeping. 2. Weighted blanket. 1. Fasting before sleeping. Almost every time I manage to, I sleep better. Not indicated by me, but by Garmin Connect and Samsung Health. Still often problems with tracking though. Yesterday I stopped eating at around 6 hours before going to bed. Not fasting before sleeping. Depending on the quality of the food, the remaining time till eating, as well as the quantity, caloric volume of the last meal, I sleep from not to medium to sometimes still well. The often cited 2 to 3 hours of fasting before bedtime seem to also be applicable in my case. Anything larger in the last 2 hours before bed seems to noticeably negatively impact my sleep, especially body temperature increasing seems to prevent falling asleep. Huberman mentions the core body temperature needs to drop. 2. Weighted blanket. Currently it's summer and I do neither have AC nor a cooling mattress. The fasting before bedtime usually at least regresses my body more to baseline temperature without food heat from digestion, possibly overheating when overconsuming. To preserve and build muscle, one can also choose a weighted blanket instead. Weighted blanket. I do have a 150 multiplied by 200 centimeters weighted, or by 200 centimeters weighted blanket, very similar to the linked one, 7 kilograms, but it's too short for me, and I also wish I am 6 feet tall, and I also wish it would weigh more. They go up to 16 kilogram. But the heavier ones also seem to cost a lot more. 170 euros for a blanket. Even the subjective feeling of the weight pressing one down into the ground is very pleasant. But to be able to use it, at least in summer, one has to have left a little temperature leeway, which seems to be best induced by fasting. Other than that, I again have been sleeping on the floor. Floor conducts thermal energy a little better than mattress, at least in my case, because I am sleeping on the floor. Well, and the floor is made out of concrete, with a long pillow beneath my upper body to support spine arch, also to relieve shoulders. My sleep pattern has been really inconsistent recently. In addition, to induce air circulation, also cooling, I usually have one window tilted. Noise to an extent also positive, but also negative effects. Positive is that it increases the overall variety of the possible heard noises, making it harder to follow individual ones. On the negative side, peak noises like a siren could potentially exceed the wake-up threshold. Also, it was cooler the last 2 days, cold as a way to reduce core body temperature by exposition. In summary, from the factors I can control somewhat easily, fasting seems to be the biggest lever. The more, the better it seems, or the longer, the better it seems, even though if still eating 1 to 3 times, unclear where in the day the optimal meal times are. The weighted blanket, if I can use it and don't start feeling too hot or begin to sweat underneath, seems to mostly prevent too much movement, as well as provide a feeling of sinking into the bed floor that seems to be somewhat indicative of potentially sleeping well. Air circulation seems to also somewhat positively contribute to sleep, even though not recorded in sleep data. From the factors I cannot control, less distinct noise seems useful. Have been wearing earplugs for years while sleeping, but still often noise comes through. Colder air from outside, i.e. lower temperature, seems to positively impact sleep quality. And also initiate fasting zones faster. In cold nights with tilted window, the number of times I woke up looking noticeably leaner provide some evidence, and the reverse, eating too much or too short before bedtime, seem to have the reverse effect. Waking up noticeably not leaner, possibly caloric excess, waking up heated or sweating, but I also often wake up after having eaten shortly before bedtime, somewhat decently awake, with high felt body temperature seemingly often despite short sleep. This effect could maybe be explained by simply not getting too deep into sleep, offering some recovery potentially at the cost of increased sleep need in the following night, but interpretation not that clear.